single for a bit. And then
Sowing your oats.
I sowed some oats.
Quite a few.
Come
oats.
on. So, yeah. And then I met my lovely current wife, who you actually know her.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you want me to say? Ask me questions. You're the interviewer.
I thought you were going to go on. Okay. We are not getting off to a great start here.
I know.
Okay. Should we take a take two?
Maybe.
Okay. Take two. Ready. Okay. So welcome back. How are you?
Hi. Welcome back.
You look good.
Happy to be here for part 2.
Are you warmer tonight?
It is really weirdly cold in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel pretty good, though, right now. I think I'm good.
It's interesting because it gets so cold in here, but then there's nights where our room is just next door and we're sweating to death.
This room is like, it's really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's worse when it's cold outside, but it feels pretty good right now.
Okay, good.
I feel good, thank you. I noticed your blankie.
I got a blankie.
Yeah.
So the take twos work. You know, speaking of take twos, we do take twos in our family all the time. We had back when the kids were little, we had what was Franny 911?
She was like
a parenting coach.
Like an emergency nanny that we got.
Oh my God, she was amazing.
She was
we
our
worked
life
with her for
savior.
a year or 2 years.
I think a little bit more.
Yeah,
maybe.
2 years. And she saved our life. She saved our marriage when the kids were little. And she was amazing. But she gave us the concept of take two.
Yeah, I know.
So when things are just not aligning out, or you feel frustration and you feel like the person is also frustrated, it's a code word, if you will. And it's like, let's just take a take two. So you guys got to witness the held take two. I think that's so great. And I think it's also important for people.
No, it is. And it takes a little bit to learn, but then it's like when someone offers you the opportunity to do the take two, instead of fighting about it, it's sometimes good to say, yep. And then you can just forget everything and then
it's
start
amazing.
over.
It's like, It's so amazing because it's literally the concept is no matter what you're doing, I mean, the other person has to agree. You can't hold the other person hostage with the take two. But we typically agree. It's literally a code word that allows you to forget everything you just did or said and start over. And it's been amazing.
Yeah,
we
it's
do
like
it with
an
the
eraser
kids.
on a chalkboard or something.
Yeah, the kids do it. So you guys try it, the take two. And I do the whole thing. I do. Here,
I love how you do the clicker.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys. Ready? Take two. That was like a take two, too.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So we left off where you were just getting a divorce from your first wife.
Yes.
And I would say it was about a year after you were sowing your oats, which you guys already heard that we met.
Yes.
And how did we meet?
How did we meet? Well, so you have one of your good friends that I was also good friends with, Deidre. And
Thank you, Deidre.
I was out. I might have been sowing some oats the night that I was out with. I don't know if Matt was there, but Deidre was there. And
Matt was there.
He was?
Yeah.
I don't think he was, actually. Deidre and I were somewhere. I don't actually remember that much. That was back in my drinking days, so
that's true. Me
I might
too.
have been a little intoxicated.
Actually, I don't think I drank then. I drank after.
Yeah, I made you drink.
Probably.
And then I said to Deidre, I'm like, Deidre, I want to go out with your friend Paige. And she's like,
Why?
I can't really say what she said, but it was pretty much like that kind of.
Why?
I don't know. She said no. Well, I mean, I know why, but.
Uh-oh. Okay, tell me offline.
Well, because you didn't like some of the oats that I sowed.
Oh, he had slept with.
Oh.
Yes. Well, it's all coming back to me. Well, you have to let the people know. Our listeners want to know the tea. Sorry. Do you care? It
No,
was
it's
so
okay.
long
Whatever.
ago.
I don't care.
Yeah, I won't say her name. What's her name?
Oh my God.
They don't know her last name. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So he had sex with one of my friends, and it was. I was like, well, I don't want to date this guy because he had sex with one of my friends, which she was actually a really, really good friend of mine. And I didn't know at the time if you guys had dated or if you were dating. So I didn't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. So that's why.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that
But
Deidre
then
mentioned
I
it.
sent you a text and I asked you to go out one night because I found out what a friend of mine was playing guitar at some bar in Hillsboro.
Yes.
And I invited you, and you didn't answer back for a while. But then when you did, you said yes, and that was it.
I was teaching yoga, and back then we taught 90-minute yoga classes. And if you taught it back to back, you were, forget it, in that room forever. So it was a few hours. It wasn't like I looked at it and was like, oh my God, should I not respond? I saw it and I was so excited and I responded immediately. And this is actually a really good story. So at the time I was dating, I can say his name because we're really friendly still. So I was dating this guy named Alex. And Alex was in his 3rd year residency.
I think he was I'm not sure. It might have been medical school still. It was before residency because he didn't do residency here.
Okay. So I was dating this guy, Alex. He was one of my medical students.
He was literally my medical student.
A medical student.
Yeah.
And I had been dating him for like 6 months, you guys. And he was so adorable and such a good guy. We had grown up together, so we had a lot of history together. And he was lovely. He was lovely, lovely, lovely.
But He's a really good guy.
But when I met Chan, I was like, oh my God. Like literally that first night that we went out, I knew you were the one. I knew we would be here today. I knew we would be together forever. So we met on a Wednesday night, and we have been pretty much inseparable since that Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And
we went out that night and the next night and literally every night since.
Yeah, we were together every night since. Besides, if he's traveling for work or if I'm traveling for work, we are together. We're our friends and our friend group. He's laughing because he knows what I'm going to say. Our friends always tell us we're very codependent on each other. And I'm just like, look, that's fine. We're codependent on each other. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't bother us. Like, move on. That sounds like a you problem. Like so many of my friends say that. I'm like, that's like a you problem. And back to Alex, we had been dating for 6 months. I meet Chan, and now I'm with Alex Monday, Tuesday, and then it's like sleeping in his house, in his apartment, and then Wednesday I go out with Chan, and then Thursday go out with Chan, Friday go out with Chan. Now it's like really uncomfortable because I have to tell Alex, and you were dating somebody as well that you had to tell, but you were like loosely dating somebody. Like I was like seriously dating. Like we were talking about like meeting the family, and his family didn't live here. That's why 6 months, it seems like a long time to not have met the family, but his family didn't live here. And it was so I said to you, I'm dating this guy that I have to go tell him.
Not right at first.
Well, pretty much because
sorry, you didn't say that to me. Like I didn't know until you had to go to like Whole Foods and tell him.
That was like that Sunday.
Yeah.
So Wednesday to Sunday, I tell Chan at some point I'm meeting him because I can't do it over phone or text. Like he just means too much to me. I have to tell him that I met somebody. So he thinks I'm busy working, doing a teacher training, and I meet him on a Sunday at Whole Foods, and I tell him I've met somebody and I'm in love, and he's like, "What the fuck? We've been together for 6 months. Like we're seriously dating. Like I want to marry you." And I'm like, "What? Like we've never even talked about that. Like I didn't know that's where we were." He's like, "We've been together 6 months and we've known each other our entire life. Like this is insane." So then I proceed to say, "Also, you might know him. He's a doctor and you don't know what specialty you want. I think that he would be a great mentor. I think you could be a gynecologist." And he's just like, what the fuck? Like he's so pissed off at me. He has no idea what's happening. We're at Whole Foods, sitting at the one in Fort Lauderdale outside where you can sit and eat. He's devastated. I'm devastated because I feel so bad. I'm breaking this guy's heart. And fast forward, he met Chan at the hospital a couple months later and started to do his rounds or whatever it's called.
Yeah, he was one of my medical students on our service.
For OB, he had not picked a specialty yet. And he fell in love with Chan, as I knew he would, because they both are just amazing men, just amazing humans. And I knew that they would like each other as friends. So he fell in love with Chan. and he became a gynecologist, and he's my age. He's 46 years old. He's been a gynecologist for the last 20
My claim
years.
to fame is I let him do his first C-section with me.
Yeah, and then wait,
As a
it gets
medical
better.
student, yeah.
And then years and years ago, because this is over 20 years at this point, he married a gynecologist. So
Wait, I thought she was a pediatrician or something.
oh, I thought she was a gynecologist.
I'm not sure. I think
she's
she's
a
a
doctor.
pediatrician. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought she was a gynecologist.
I think I'm not
swore.
sure. I think she's a pediatrician.
Okay, so he married a doctor,
And I'm still
they
friends
have
with him, by the way. Like we still text each other.
Same.
Yeah.
And we DM each other, and it's just such a cool story.
Yeah, he's a really good dude.
Such a good guy. So if you're looking for a good gynecologist in Atlanta, his name is Alex Ecarino, and he's beyond handsome. Like
He's a very handsome fella.
beyond. So I understand when women are like, oh my God, it's so awkward to be around your husband because he's so good looking and he's my doctor. And I'm like, yeah, I think about you and I think about Alex. And I'm like, these poor women don't stand a chance with you guys.
Yeah,
So-
he's a really good dude. And it all turned out great. He's a great guy.
It was so cool. Okay, so fast forward, we have young kids and we are raising little kids and big kids. I call my stepkids the big kids, and then we call our kids the little kids. So fast forward, we are in the thick of life. You're building your
right
business.
away, blending families.
I'm building Yoga Joint. We are blending families, and it is a shit show.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a blur since then. There's times where it seems like everything's going well, and then there's times where the wheels fall off, and then you're like, holy shit, I think a wheel just fell off. And yeah.
So we have 4 kids. Our youngest is 17 and then 21. And then my stepkids are 30 and 31. We've obviously talked about them here numerous of times. And going back when they were little, like babies, that was one of my favorite times because we had the big kids 50% of the time. And this was before shit got really heavy with them realizing in the beginning. It was all like roses, I felt like.
Yeah.
And for the first couple years, they loved me. And even when Michael and Taylor came around, they loved them. And we were a happy family. And I won't get into it because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but your ex just did such a number on that. That's all I'm going to say because it's my story too, so I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah.
But she did such a number on that family dynamic at the time.
Yeah.
And we've worked through it, and we are all great now, thank God. But we definitely can empathize with people who are...
It's a hard time, and it's like, hard...
to
when
navigate.
when people don't want something to happen, and then it's like hurt people, and it's like they don't know how to deal with what they're dealing with, so they turn around and lash out at other people, and then people take kids and do things with kids that they're not supposed to. It's like you treat a kid like an adult, and that's just not smart. And the kids, especially at that age, are not your friends. You don't talk to them about things that they shouldn't be talked to about.
Exactly.
But I think there's definitely some, things that we're dealing with today that are probably sequel of all that.
Agreed.
And unfortunately, that's just the case, and we're having to do the best we can. But I feel for the most part, we've, gotten through it, and obviously it's a growing and learning experience. Looking back on it, there are some things that I probably would want to do differently.
Same.
But at that time, I didn't know. It was the first time I've ever done that. So
Yeah.
it's hard to blend a family, and it's hard to do that. And I think we did okay. I would give us like a B, maybe
Yeah.
B plus and minus. Yeah, I don't know. B.
I think the moral of the story for me with this platform, if I could get in anybody's ear that is going through a divorce, is get your shit together so you don't bleed on your children. Because if you don't clean up your wound and if you don't bandage it, you will bleed all over people that you do not want to bleed on. And kids will hold on to that for a lifetime. I still have some scars from my own parents' divorce, and I think that there's ways that you can go about divorce that can really be a great experience for everybody if you handle it in the correct way.
I think so too. And I think like both of us probably have a story of how not to do it.
Yeah.
You as a kid, and my parents got divorced when I was already a dad. Like I had already had Kella.
Yeah.
And we came home. She was born in August. So we came home for Christmas she was 3 months old. And Rachel and I and Kella came home to Fort Lauderdale, and my mom and dad were still married, and it was Christmas, and my mom's like, "Can you guys come upstairs for a minute? I just need to talk to you." This is like the day after Christmas or something. And my mom sits myself, my younger brother, and my younger sister down with my dad, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but proceeds somehow to tell us that they're divorced, that they're fine, everything's done. Not that they're getting divorced.
Imagine.
Not that they're getting divorced, that they're already divorced. It's completed. Your dad doesn't live here anymore. He lives in Louisville, Kentucky. He's doing fine. He's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
You've never told me this.
I've told you this story, no?
Oh, no, sorry. You've told me this,
Yeah.
but you didn't tell me the Louisville, Kentucky. I
Well,
just thought he lived in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, he was a pilot, and they had it was for UPS, so they were a big hub in Louisville. So he had like an apartment there that he paid for anyway. So he just went to live there, I guess. I don't know if that's really the case,
This
but that's
is
how I took
interesting.
it. But it wasn't that we're having problems. We're going to see a therapist. We just want to let you guys know. Just everybody's aware of it. It seems like we love each other, but we're just, we've kind of grown apart a little bit. It wasn't that. It was like, hey, just so you know, not to worry about anything. You guys are safe. You're safe. And we're already divorced. I'm like, that was weird. So I would just remember sitting there like, what? I have a kid. Like I'm married and I have a kid.
And you think your parents are a happy
you have
married couple?
No idea. So growing up in Fort Lauderdale, I feel like not the only two, that's a bit dramatic, but around our neighborhood and our friend group, most of the people were divorced. Like most families, most of my friends that I grew up with, most of their parents were divorced. Not everybody, but most. My family and my cousin's family were the only ones that I knew at that point that were still like, that I was really close to, that were still married. Everybody else was pretty much divorced. And I thought I had the most normal like upbringing. I thought everything was normal. I thought my mom and dad were in love. I thought we had a house. I thought my dad worked. My mom, she didn't used to work, but then she started to work as a teacher and then never stopped. And then, talk about the wheels fell off. It was like one of those, like a movie set, like the scene moves, like you see the whole like town like move across and you see it's just like a farce behind it. It was like, it was really weird. When she told me that, I was like, what? My sister was crying, but I was like, this is so weird. Like, I don't even know I didn't know what to think about it. And I was just started medical school. It was my first semester of medical school. I'm like, I had no idea what hit me. And it didn't really affect me that much because I was already out of the house and I had my own family already. So for me, it wasn't really that big of a deal. I felt really bad for my sister because my sister lived at home still and was with my mom. It was very strange. And
so your sister lived with your parents and didn't know that they were divorced?
Yeah, but my dad was a pilot, so he was gone a lot.
Okay, yeah.
So you just and when he was home, he was still home, but they just hadn't moved apart yet. So I think then they like officially lived apart.
At this point, were they with their significant others that they're still with now?
Yeah.
So they were at that point.
Yeah, both. And I didn't know that at that point, but at that point, yeah. Yeah.
So they had both just met other people and just went their separate ways.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with their significant others.
Me too. Both of them. Well, now, it was a little bit tough in the beginning.
For you, but I didn't know them then. No, but me too.
I agree. And now, like, looking at it as an adult and, like, with...
It's actually kind of nice, like, no fuss, no muss. Like,
yeah, and...
Or whatever that...
Yeah, but...
right.
Whatever, just clean your hand. But we didn't know that. It wasn't like that then. Like, it was weird at that point because the whole thing was weird. Like,
of course.
First of all, them getting divorced was weird because everybody was like, you're just like the perfect little people.
Right.
Yeah, it was weird. And it took a long time for it to not be weird, but that's a good example. Like, and I know in your family too, like it was when your parents divorce and then find somebody else, it's weird.
Yeah.
And because you don't grow up with that person. It's like you have to learn how to get used to that person.
Yeah. I think in our case with Mac and Kella, I could be wrong, but I feel like when I first came onto the scene, they loved me. And I think it was unfortunate because society, and this is I just want to say, if anybody's listening that's a part of this story, if this doesn't resonate with you, it's because it's not your version of the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you have your versions from behind your head. Yeah.
Exactly. So the truth is whatever you make of it. It's your side, it's my side, it's their side, it's your family side, it's my family's side, it's God's side, it's the universe side, it's Allah's side, like whatever. So I just want to give that little speech because I want to make sure I know that people listen, our family listens to this podcast. And I'm not saying this to offend anybody. It's just, this is my podcast and this is my life and I don't want to filter it. And you've helped me be more vulnerable with this kind of stuff. So here we go. I feel that in the beginning, before we really went public with our relationship, and one of the reasons that we didn't really go real public with our relationship was because you were freshly getting out of a marriage. We were blending a family, and I was younger than you, 8 years, and we knew that we would get some backlash. And when we were just our little nucleus, the 6 of us, we were happy and things were great and the kids were young. But I think that when everything went more public, your family in the beginning was not on board. And I think that that swayed the big kids. And that was really hard for me because if I could take a camera and show them how we all were together, because at the purest source, there was so much love in that home. We were renting your dad and Diane's house, and we had parties every weekend. Parties, that's a little bit
friends over.
Yeah, we had cookouts and the big kids were there, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, there was always music going. There was always people there. There was always friends. There was always stuff for the kids. And I think you're right. I think that, unfortunately, I think my mom was a big part of that because she was, from her side of the view or whatever, I hate saying or whatever, sorry. From her side, she was just being protective of Mac and Kella.
Of course.
And understandably so.
Right.
And
but she never gave me the opportunity. Like I would have thrown myself in front of a train for those children. And I still would to this day.
I know that.
I know that.
Yeah.
But that's the interesting part about human nature and life, is that we're all so quick to judge and put people in a box. And all I wanted was 10 kids with you and a huge family.
Right.
And everybody to feel love. And I understand that's la la land. Like they're going through.
Not. I mean, it's fine to have that aspiration.
Like my belief is that you can create whatever you want to create.
But her thing was more like mama bear, protective of them, because unfortunately you also have to take into account that it wasn't just me that we were dealing with. It was like you have this other party who's not happy with the situation and very vocal about it and talking about it and saying things inappropriately to the kids about it. And a lot of people were just scared of that, including myself.
Yeah. Including me too.
And so it was a difficult situation. I feel like we did the best we could and we didn't come out unscathed, but it's one of those things you live and you learn. And you're right. There was a ton of love. Like they were happy. They had a place.
Yeah. We have so many great memories of all of us together and the trips that we took. And I often think about that. I think about when things are tough now with everything we've been through with Mac. And of course, I think that it's easy to blame. I have had so many conversations with Mac since he was 13 years old about, not 13. We've had so many conversations since he was 13. We started talking about his addiction around 16, 17. And then at 19 is when we really unpacked his addictions. Him and I personally would talk about it. And we unpacked so many scenarios about the divorce, about me as the new wife, about having a new brother and sister come into the mix and having seeing us four as a happy nucleus. And then later their mom met a great guy who she's still married to, and they have their nucleus. So I understand that's so hard on the kids so we have Michael and Taylor who have their mom and dad. And then so Michael and Taylor have Paige and Chan. And then Tim and Rachel's kids have Tim and Rachel. But then Mac and Kella have this fragmented family. So it's hard. It's so hard. And there's no blueprint. And I just kept trying to throw love at it. And that, looking back, I probably love was the right thing. Obviously, to me, it always is. But I definitely think that I would do things differently. And going back to the moral of the story, it's just like, get your shit together, because when you get your shit together, your kids follow. Because if you really think about it, we could have had such a beautiful unity, all of us, because I was wide open to be friends and to...
I especially, even before you said that, but like when you say that, for me, it hits a nerve because I feel like that's my fault because my shit wasn't together. And as much as in my head it was together, it wasn't together with regards to the kids, because I remember I had one of my good friends I went to high school with, and he was an attorney, and we used to hang out together a lot and play golf and everything. I told him what was happening, and he's like, dude, get a good lawyer. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I hate lawyers. I despise lawyers. Almost everyone. There's very few. I just can't stand it. And it's not because of they're bad people. It's because of what they do. And it feels wrong. It feels dirty all the time. And I told him, I'm like, I just want to give her whatever she wants. And that way she won't say anything bad about me to the kids. Not that there's really anything bad to say, but you can make shit up, which is what ended up happening. And I tried to smooth that over by just saying whatever you want, take it, and it didn't work. It didn't work at all. Like, it was a terrible idea. But it seemed like when I made the decision, it was the better choice. But I had never been through it. I didn't know. And I made a mistake. And now knowing what I do, I would have gone back and done it a completely different way. And the reason that hits extra hard is that because I feel like because that was my stance, I was trying to be like accommodating and letting other people kind of dictate the situation instead of me dictating the situation. And I feel like that's a lot of what ended up being the basis for whatever happened with Mako. And that part just haunts me literally every day, still today. I mean, I don't know that we've talked about it, but like we're going through it again. We're actually not going through it again. Like we went through it, and
there's been a relapse.
Yeah, and it's been not good, and I've stepped away from the situation, and I told him, I'm like, if this happens again and we go through this again, unfortunately, I have to draw a line somewhere, and I'm drawing it because I was the last person that drew the line. I told him the last time I just saw him and I found out that he was using again, and I said, buddy, you leave me no choice. I've been with you for the last, he's 30 years old, so I've been with him for the last 30 years. I've stayed with you for the last 3 years, the only one. Your mom said goodbye, your sister said goodbye, your grandparents don't talk to you anymore, none of your friends talk to you anymore. You're basically a hermit, and today I'm out. And it feels terrible. It feels like my son died that day. It's terrible. And I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not supporting him anymore. We're not doing the business anymore. I took his car away. I took everything that I could grab that was within arm's reach of me that I had loaned him and given him because he ruined everything and lost everything that he had. I took my AirPods and I took the little internet box that I had given him so he could have internet. And at this point, I haven't talked to him. I've texted a couple times. I know he's alive. Same. And I've checked in with his mom, and I know he's trying his best, but it's not where it needs to be. And for me, I've always tried to like make him not hit rock bottom, I think, even though I thought we've hit rock bottom fucking 50 times. but apparently we haven't. So he's still having his battle. I'm not involved with it right now, and it feels terrible. It literally feels like my son died. And I was telling my best friend Kirk today, I'm like, it's not like he's dead to me. He's not dead to me. I didn't shun that. I just said, I don't want you, I'm not involved with you anymore. I don't want you involved at my house. I don't want you at the yoga joint. I don't want you with Taylor and Michael and Pate, like anybody, and other people in our family. If that's what they want to do, that's up to them. But that's my circle is what I said. It's no longer open to you right now until you can get yourself clean. And Kirk said to me today, I told him about it when we were swimming, and he's like, you've tried I'm going to cry. He's like, you've tried everything. We've done rehab multiple times. We've sent him to Mexico for plant-based psychedelic ibogaine therapy. I mean, I don't know what the bill is right now. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I've called in favors of psychiatrists and therapists and everybody, and it is just like a fucking noose around my neck. And I told you before, anyway, Kirk said, he's like, you've done everything you can except for this. Like, you're the last one that didn't give up on him. And he's like, you told me you were never going to give up on him. I'm like, I haven't given up on him. I can't be involved in it anymore because I feel like he uses whatever I provide, he just uses, and he doesn't have to do something for himself. Mm-hmm. So I have to pull the support because I want him to get better. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's going to make him better, but it is so, like, I don't know. To me, I sympathize with parents that have lost that have had kids die. And I think about it because I told you, every time I go to his house, I'm scared that I'm going to have to look, like, I'm going to walk in and he's going to be dead and bloated on the bed. And I'm like, I think about that every time that I go there. It's brutal, and as much as I sympathize for the parents that have lost a kid, because it rips your heart out. If you're lucky, it happens one time, like the kid dies and then you lose that part of your life. And then you think about them all the time and you remember the good things, but like this one, it happens over and over and over. It's like fucking a shitty ass Groundhog Day that doesn't have a good ending. And right this second, it doesn't look like it's going to have a good ending. I told him, I'm like, I'm so worried that you're going to die. And like in my head, he already died. So it sucks. And if by miracle he straightens it out and turns out to be okay, then that's great. It's like a new life for him, I hope, because he's got so much potential and he's so smart and he's so talented and he's so beautiful as a person. But these fucking drugs and this addiction is a mother
I'm so
effer.
Sorry. I know that you know this, but watching you, first of all, I so appreciate your vulnerability. I was listening to a podcast today. I'm addicted to all sorts of podcasts. And it's The Skinny Confidential, him and her, and it's Lauren Bostic and her husband. And they were saying how they've probably done over 700 shows. So they have over 900 hours of the two of them. And they've never been to therapy, but they've been together. They've known each other since they were 12. They dated when they were little, and then they dated again in high school, and then they dated again in college, and then got married and have kids. And they have 900 hours of therapy, they feel like, because it's so therapeutic to talk about. And that's the one thing I love about the podcast is even though we're talking to strangers, it's so intimate because it's just you and I in our home. And it breaks my heart to see you like this and to be in this situation because it affects all of us. However, I think that it's so healing and therapeutic because hearing you talk about it, every time we've been on the podcast, I've heard you say things that I've never heard you say. And I think that could be really therapeutic for both of us. So I really appreciate you sharing it. I know we didn't plan on really sharing it, but this podcast is Watch Me Grow, and the podcast is about our life, and we are evolving and growing. And I think the way you're handling it this time around, for us, we've gone through the relapses so many times that it does become like a muscle that is getting stronger in a way. Him and I are texting almost every day. And so it is comforting for me to have some sort of connection with him. I know that you're the man of the house and you have put your boundary down and you have said, like, don't contact Paige and the kids and everything. And I am respecting that. Oops, my phone fell. And I'm respecting that, but it is really hard for me because I worry and I pray for him. And I am not a very religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. And I've just put it in the hands of the universe, and that's helping. And on some fucked up level, it's helping that I'm so busy right now with the opening of Coral Gables tomorrow. And we've been in training. And then I am going to be opening up a yoga joint every 8 weeks in the month. I mean, starting now in the year of 2025. And being busy helps because you don't have time to just go insane and worry about it. So I'm praying for him. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for our family. I'm praying for Michael and Taylor. I'm praying for Kella. Kella, meanwhile, is on her living her best life in her getting married era. And then we have that. And then Michael and Taylor are thriving. And it's just so interesting. Addiction does not discriminate. And it is a gnarly, excruciatingly painful, frustrating, overwhelmingly sad disease. And I wish I could win the lottery so I could have facilities for people, because I think that there's so much good out there with what they're doing with the ibogaine. Although it didn't work for Mac, I think it's working for a lot of people. And I think that there's so much good with plant-based plant medicine. And I think that it could be cool to have some sort of, I think it could be healing to have some sort of facility. So maybe when I sell yoga joint for millions and millions of billions of dollars, I'll do that.
I was saying that to somebody the other day when I was in the office. It was, so for me, when I'm in the office and seeing patients, especially now that I'm kind of concentrating more on the like longevity and the female hormones and male hormones and wellness and diet and that kind of thing. That's exactly it was that case. So this one of my patients who's so lovely, and we were talking, and I was like, she was asking about like the cost of everything, and one of the medications that we use is a certain amount a month, and then the other one is a little bit more a month, but I feel like it works better. And I don't think she had a lot of money, but I said, listen, I would love if you want to do this. She wasn't going to start right then, but I said, if you want to do this, whenever you're ready, let me know. I'm going to help you. And it's not going to be what everybody else has to pay, because if I didn't have to worry about money, first of all, I told her, I'm like, money doesn't mean shit to me, except for I have to have it to keep the power on in this place, to keep the lights on, because I've always had that weird thing with money. Yeah. I don't really, of course you would rather have more than less, but you've had more, and you're exactly the same person. I have a healthy disrespect for money, which I've heard that in like gambling circles before. It's like, if you're a gambler, if you're so worried about money, you're never going to be able to make a bet, because if you lose it, then you're not going to be able to do whatever you're going to do. And for me, I was like, that's not my focus. My focus is trying to make people better. And I told her, I'm like, listen, I wish I could give it to everybody for free and just make everybody more healthy, but I have to be able to run this business. And so therefore I'll help you, because I have to have something to be able to help people like that, because it's not just rich people that need to help. So, and I told her, I'm like, I would love to be able to do this for free, but I can't. And I've always said, when I win the Powerball, I'm going to open up my own office, and I'm going to deliver babies for free. And I'm going to give everybody, Ozempic and Manjaro for free. And I'm going to have everybody on peptides, and everybody's going to be walking around with, everybody's going to be healthy, and everybody's going to be happy. And I wish that was obviously a possibility, and maybe someday it will be, but we'll see. I would love to have a free clinic where I was able to give people that. So cool. Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
I know.
Well, let's manifest that we win the lottery, And we continue to do Yoga Joint because people need yoga and fit. So we continue to grow Yoga Joint and sell franchises, but we fund it. So that would be really cool. And then with the money, we buy a beautiful compound for our family and grandchildren one day to be at, a farm and somewhere on the ocean. So we have both the best of both worlds. And let's manifest that I can do a non-for-profit rehab space that has the biohacking and the more
I'll take care of all the medicine
and then
stuff.
you do within that, you can do all the peptides.
I think that's going to be a big thing. I'm working on the new longevity clinic that I'm working on, and I included that into the business plan, the plant-based, or not the plant-based, but the psychedelic-based.
No, why are we're calling it plant-based it's a burger.
Burger's not plant-based, buddy.
No,
well,
like those plant-based burgers, like those fake burgers.
No, but it's not we're not talking about vegetarian medicine. We're like plant-based medicine. You mean like ibogaine, ayahuasca, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, mushrooms.
Yes.
Psilocybin, that kind of thing. But
speaking of, you did your ketamine today.
I did.
How was it? I forgot to ask you.
It was pretty good. It wasn't my best one.
No.
Yeah, I think because there where I go, they all know Mac, and every time I go there, they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Not good." So
because you paid for many sessions.
He did like 7 or 8 or I don't know, maybe more ketamine therapies because that was the first thing that someone's like, hey, try this. It's an alternative therapy that you haven't tried before.
We've tried, he's been in psychiatric wards. We've tried ketamine. We've tried traditional rehabs, and we've tried ibogaine.
Yeah. So I think because that was kind of like the girl that came in to do my IV, she knows him and she was asking about it, and I should have just said he's fine and left it at that, but they know him, and it's like, I don't know. And then the doctor who's great, and I told him today, I'm like, every time that anybody asks me like, what have you done to yourself? Because I look and feel in a good way, completely different than I was even 8 months ago, but 2 years ago really is when I probably started the whole thing. And I told him today, I'm like, he's part of the reason that I did, because all the different steps that I went and took through, he was the beginning part of all of that. And in a weird way, kind of, so was Mako with all that. So he was there with me. And I think that was kind of a heavy burden, because even when I've done it before in the past, when he's struggled and had a hard time, I've gone and done a treatment. It was different, I think, because I was still, even though he had relapsed and was still battling and clearly not cured, I was still there. Like I was still his person, and this time I'm not, because I just had to cut it. And that was what Kirk said today. He's like, you never have tried this. Like this is maybe this will be the thing. Maybe this will be the thing.
We've said that before.
Yeah. And maybe then I'll be like, well, shit, I wish I would have tried this, 5 years ago.
Well, let's pray that we're having this conversation.
I don't know. So anyway, that treatment was okay. Like, I just think that it's such an interesting feeling. And when I'm in it, the ketamine therapy I'm talking about now, when I'm in it, I'm completely aware of what's happening and where I am, and I know where I am. Excuse me, I have a hiccup.
I know. I feel that in my throat because you're doing that, because I'm so connected to you.
I know. I feel like, I don't know, because I've never talked to anybody when it happens, but if you were sitting there talking to me, I feel like I would be, like, I know, it's not like you're asleep and on Xanax or something where you're just like out of your mind. I feel like you're kind of out of your mind, but like in a good way. It's hard to explain if you don't do it. I was thinking that today too when I was in it. I'm like, the things that I'm seeing, I can't, because your eyes are closed and you have a black mask off. There's no light. I have a playlist going. The weirdest thing is the playlist that I listen to is Thievery Corporation. Every time I go, it's Thievery Corporation. You've taken me to Thievery Corporation concerts before. I play Thievery Corporation when we're out at like in our backyard, sometimes in the gazebo. When I'm there, it's on it. I don't change it. And the music is nothing I've ever heard before. Like, I know what station it's on, but I can't tell you what music played. It's not songs I've ever heard before. And the weirdest thing is that, like, there's talking in it and they're saying words, and I can like manifest them it's such a mind, because it's hallucinogenic.
Right.
It's so weird. But it's so peaceful, and so it feels healing. and it feels like it could be dark or light at the same time. It's very strange. And I was thinking today, I was like, when I tell you about it, it's going to be hard to put it in words, because it's like if you're trying to explain a black and white writing on a note card, but you're trying to explain like the Mona Lisa inside the Sistine Chapel with lights and sound effects and everything going on. It's so intense. So of all the treatments I had, it wasn't my favorite one, but it was still, it was, so glad I think it was good. And I hope, my hope is that in a couple of days, it's like, it pays off, because I feel like usually in a couple of days, I notice the benefit from it.
You feel more clarity?
Not right now, I don't, but like, I never do.
In a couple days.
Yeah, in a couple of days, I feel like it'll be like clarity, and also like, I don't know, like a sense of ease, or like your baseline kind of like shifts down a little bit. Yeah,
you've said that before, that you feel more peaceful.
I think the explanation is if there's new like neural pathways and connections that are going to build when I sleep now and rest and that kind of thing, I think that I'll get the benefit of it in a couple of days. Hopefully. We'll see.
That's so
I'm
good.
glad I did it though.
I'm glad you do it too.
Yeah.
And I know you want to do the Ibogaine. And
during the thing today, I was thinking I'm just definitely going, because I was thinking about Dave, and I was thinking about he went on.
I don't know if he's like telling people.
Well, nobody knows who I'm talking about, so.
Okay, well, they do, but
nobody knows. Which I know 19 Daves.
He's so open. I don't think it's a.
Yeah,
but let's just move on.
I was thinking about it today that I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know when, but sometime soon I want to do that.
Yeah. I'm not there yet.
That's the other thing I was thinking about, is that I know that you wrestle with control, and I know that you wrestle with surrendering control. And I know that you have a fear of literally pretty much everything. It's so different how like I feel that you would benefit from it, but I know you don't want it.
I think so. We just did my blood work on Monday, so I'm super excited. Maybe we can do like a blood work reveal on the pod.
Sure.
Good or bad, and especially after 8 months of carnivore, it'll be really interesting to see what all the cholesterol and.
I'll do mine too. I'll do mine tomorrow, and then we can talk about it.
Okay, cool. So when we get it, we'll do a reading.
You could do a health pod, because I'm going to do the calcium channel or calcium score.
Okay, so we'll do that because it's interesting stuff. And I think that because I'm going through my own health journey right now, and I don't have a diagnosis with anything per se, I want to make sure that everything is good. Like I want to make sure that I don't have anything underlying that could throw my body out of whack with doing something like this. That's my big thing, is that I have an accelerated heart rate that we're trying to figure out. I've been to cardiologist, and I've gotten my hormones done. I've gone to the cardiologist. I got an EKG. I got an echo. I wore the heart monitor, and they're telling me it's nothing. But you see, my heart rate is at like 100. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, and then at night, it's really, really bad, the heart palpitations. And I know a lot of people say that's hormone disruptions, but I'm on HRT, and I'm feeling such benefits of the HRT with other things in my life, my libido, my energy level. I've always had good energy, so it's definitely difficult but my body overall feels good. I feel happier. I'm wondering if I was thinking when you were talking about Mac, how lucky we are that we have taken our health journey to another level in these last couple years with not drinking, peptides, diet. I was always on a health journey of some sort, but health came easy for me because I'm super disciplined. I'm not eating cakes and cookies only because I just never have been a big person that does that kind of stuff, because it makes me feel like shit and I'm so in tune with my body. So I don't do it, not because I think it's going to make me look a certain way. It's because it makes me feel a certain way. So I was thinking how lucky we are, because imagine if we were drinking, oh my God, and you were smoking pot and we were eating like we were eating under this amount of pressure.
I actually had that discussion with Jared today. He said when he walked in, Jared's the doctor that takes care of me for the Remedy stuff, for the IV.
Yeah, it's called Remedy IV on 17th Street. Yeah, it's
great. He's great. I really like him. He said, he walked in, he's like, you look like a fitness model. Look at you. And he was just, being complimentary and nice. And he said that he had another so he asked about Mako, and then I kind of told him, and he's like, whoa, he's like, well, at least you're still keeping up with your thing. And I'm like, I feel like it's the only thing that really keeps me sane right now.
Yeah.
Is like, it's a routine where I take my vitamins in the morning. I take my, what is that stuff called that we do? The colostrum.
So yeah, the next podcast I'm going to do the 10 things I'm loving right now, and that's actually on that.
Yeah, I love that. So I do my colostrum in the morning and my, my vitamins, and I do the peptides. I have a routine, and not every day, but almost every day I swim, and almost every day that I swim, I go to the gym, and 3 or 4 days a week I'm doing yoga still, and now I'm doing 2 to 3 fit classes a week. I think I would be going batshit friggin' crazy if I wasn't. And he was telling me that there was this, he's like, there's another one of my, he's like, you just made me think of this other patient that I have. He's like, he's a really cool guy like you. He's really, really good. He's been he started out and he lost a lot of weight, and he's been super healthy, and he was really good. He's like, and then I just didn't see him for 6 or 8 months. He came back in, and he was looking kind of not so good anymore, and he looked like a little bit disheveled, and he hadn't been doing his peptides, and he wasn't exercising anymore, and he put on some weight, and he came back in because he wanted to get back on the horse. And Jared's like, what's going on? He's like, well, turns out his son was like some excellent athlete, like a big time soccer player, he just graduated somewhere here from high school, and was going to go play in some development league in Europe, and had like the world at his fingertips. And then the kid got cancer, like some leukemia, like a childhood leukemia situation. And the dad just lost it because of obviously taking care of the kid, but it's just what stress will do to you.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I'm like, I'm just so thankful that I kept this gave me a thing to do.
Yeah.
To
it
not
really
do that, because there's so many days I just want to just like
sleep.
Just
and you
just
can't
wrinkle up and just not talk I've already feel like I've withdrawn from a lot of people because of this. And I told him, excuse me, I got the hiccups. What I've told you before is that I feel like I'm operating at like 40% of my capacity. But sometimes it's a struggle just to put your fucking clothes on in the morning and just go. Like, I just don't even want to do it sometimes.
It's interesting that you just said that, because I've had a few of my very, very, very close girlfriends say to me recently, like, they just feel like our friendship has shifted. And I have said to you, and it's interesting that you say it too, and then I'm having a little bit of an aha moment. It's like, we have withdrawn from our life in the last couple of years.
For sure.
Because it's always like the monkey on our back. And I think, as I said earlier, the muscle is getting stronger, and I would have never been able to feel the way I feel this time around if it was the first relapse.
No.
And it's weird to say that. Like, it feels like there's like a loss of love, and it's not that.
It's definitely not that.
It's a like a reality check of some sort. It's like,
we've been here before.
Yeah. And it's like,
it's familiar.
It's familiar. And I just can't keep putting myself through it. In yoga, yesterday I was teaching follow, and there was a song, and we've been playing this song for 20 years, but in the lyrics, they say something like, if you're gonna like let me down, just do it. Yeah, let me down easy. Yeah. But in the lyrics of that, they said something, and I was like, oh, I don't know if that was the song. I think I'm confusing it. But anyways, the lyrics were, the point of the lyric is like, just
do it. Just get it over with.
Just get it over with. Yeah. And I was thinking, that's the thing about addiction, is that, and not to beat a dead horse, but it's that it's just the ripple. It affects so many people, and we just have to take our power back a little bit, because he's living his life and he's making those decisions, and we're fucking can't get out of bed because of it.
I know.
And I'm not hanging out with my friends because of it, and I've missed out. I mean, Kelly, my best friend, it was Kelly and Kristen. Like, I'll just, let's be honest. And I've missed out. Kristen's so busy with work, but with Kelly, we have a very similar schedule. And so we have gaps in our schedule, because we are training, and then we have gaps in the schedule. And like, I haven't had a chance to really get to know her new boyfriend. He's not really new anymore. It's been 8 months, I think. And I haven't seen Faith. And there's so much about her life that I'm missing because my life is so fucked up. And Amber and I talk luckily all the time, but there's been things where she's like, let's plan a girls' night. And I'm like, I'm good. Like Sherry, I barely ever get to see. I never get to see Kristen. I mean, it's Sherry's birthday Friday and we don't even have plans, which is unheard of. We've talked about doing a girls' trip and we just, nope. Like I get to see Deidre a little bit, but it's just sad because we used to have people here all the time and we never do that anymore. I mean, we had a few people over for like your family for Super Bowl, but it is interesting. It is interesting. Like you don't feel like being social because you don't want to deal with the reality. And at the end of the day, they don't want to talk about it either. So I don't know what we're so afraid of, but it is interesting to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back, way back. So we talked about the divorce. We talked about you and I meeting. So well, we really didn't. So you were like, fix me up with Paige. And Deidre said, no, you said and then I have to just give him a little like needle. Then our first date was at JNB's or JB's?
I think it's called JB's up in Hillsborough.
Yeah. Or is it Deerfield?
Hillsborough, I think.
Okay. And that was so fun. We went and saw Mark Zayden play. I think he still plays around here. And that was so lovely. And I knew that day that we would be together forever.
I did too.
That is so cool. My grandparents also knew that they were going to be together forever the day they met. I believe we're interviewing my dad next week, so I'm excited about that. But I believe that my grandpa was engaged when he met my grandmother. And back then, like how scandalous, he like called it off, and they were married for over 50 years before they passed. So I love that I met you and I knew. That's why when friends of mine that date and they're like, I don't know, I think he's the one. I'm always like, maybe, because And we moved in like 3 weeks after knowing each other. 3 weeks. And look at us now.
A long time later.
I would say that I love you more today than ever, because even doing this podcast, I get to know you more and more. And I've always loved the type of person that you are. Just the space that you occupy on this planet is so valuable to so many people. And it's so valuable to me and for our children. And one of the things that breaks my heart about this Mac thing is I know you blame yourself. And you are such an exceptional, extraordinary human being. And I know you know that. And a lot of other people know that. But no, I know that. I don't know if you know that, because this has nothing to do with you. Addiction hits everybody. And that's my biggest prayer for you, is that you understand that it's not your fault. It's not Rachel's fault. It's not my fault. It's not Michael and Taylor's fault. It's not Kella's fault. It's not his school. It's most likely it's the friends that he was with, because somebody has to say to your kid, hey, do you want to try it? And my opinion on addiction is that people try it and then a switch goes off in their brain and then that's it. Some people have the switch, some people don't. And you just don't know. So that's that.
I agree with pretty much everything you just said.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Ko. Well, I think that wraps it up. I don't know what time we started, but you know how I am. I like to go
you
around.
Can feel it.
I like to go around an hour.
We'll do part 3 later.
Well, we don't really have to do a part 3, but we can just continue to do life updates and whatnot.
I have more fun stuff to talk about that's not all depressing. So.
Okay, so we'll do a part 3.
Yeah, I have a new podcast that I'm going to be starting. I'm not really ready to throw out the name of it yet, but what I will tell you is that I'm going to be tackling some topics that I've found very popular in my office. And so it's going to have like a focus on medicine and longevity and wellness and how a doctor can kind of explain it to a patient. And that's always been my forte, I believe. Like,
oh my
like
God, you're
making
the
people understand
best
something that's kind of hard to
manner.
understand and why. And for me, the way that it works is that if you understand the why, then a lot of times you're going to be more kind of, apt to do what's the best thing for you. It's even yesterday when I was talking to this guy that I really liked he was one of my new diet patients, and we were talking, and this guy's a big drinker, like comes from a drinking family. He's a drinker. He doesn't care. He was like, I like drinking. This is what Irish. I do. He's definitely Irish. And, so we were talking, and as we were talking, I was telling him all these things that we're talking about and how it's affecting him and what's going on. And then I kind of explained to him like the whole alcohol thing. And I said, listen, I know who you are and I know your family and I know how it goes. But I said, if you really are serious about this, he's a little younger than me. He's 47 and just had his second baby. And I said, you have a reason to be around for a long time. Yeah, and I said, you have a baby, you have a brand new baby, just a couple months old.
Wow.
And I said, no matter what, I said, every doctor that tells you that 2 glasses of red wine is okay, it's not true. No. There is something in red wine that is okay if you take that, but as long as you don't take it in the red wine.
Yeah.
So any amount of alcohol is not good for you. Some people don't like to hear it. I understand people's lives revolve around it. But even him, he was like, I'm just going to stop for the month. But I feel like it was maybe how we talked about it, and I empowered him with the knowledge of what it could really do, and then he can make that decision. So.
I love that. So for your podcast, is it going to be like sometimes it'll be Watch Me Grow, and then sometimes it'll be your podcast on the same?
I was going to have I was going to do like a totally different podcast.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I told you I would still love to do guest appearances like that on Watch Me Grow. I'll do like the doctor's version of Watch Me Grow. And I think that because we have topics that I think would be very good for that. But this was going to be more of like a longevity, wellness, health, like what are the new, if
so
it's
you're
a new
just going to be in here by yourself, just podcasting.
I was thinking I wouldn't even do it in here, or maybe I would do it. I don't know. I that part I'm not 100% on yet, but yeah, I might have a different wall with a different,
I love that.
I have a name for it, but I'm not ready to put it out there yet.
Well, maybe what we could do is we could like on that wall put it, and then we'll just switch the camera from this, and then switch the camera to this.
Yeah, we have 4 walls in this room, so that wall. But I don't want.
We also need to redo this. It's like I don't know. I was watching the him and her. They do a table, and then. They're across from each other, and then some, which is nice because then it's like you're only seeing from here up.
Right.
And look, for me at this point, obviously everybody who is watching and not listening, I look practically homeless most of the time. Like I don't wear a stitch of makeup. I just cannot be bothered. Like with people caring about what I look like.
Maybe season 2 we'll change it up. We'll have a set change.
Yeah. And maybe I'll put a little more effort into my what I look like.
I didn't realize it until just now, but I always thought it was hilarious when I used to love Seinfeld. I was obsessed with Seinfeld, and I know you love Seinfeld too. Remember when he got the talk show set in his house with Kramer?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And they would just sit down, and Kramer was like, "Who do we have tonight on, Jerry?"
Yeah, they were like the original podcasters.
Because this is our house, but it's still our podcast studio.
Clearly, the dog is barking.
I know.
And before the gossip girl is like blaring in the background. Stop. Okay. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Watch Me Grow. Thank you for allowing us to join you and you guys listening to a little bit of our journey. And I will see you next week. Bye.